I wouldn't take my mental health seriously growing up. I would barely think about how I felt, and when I did, I wouldn't know how to make sense of all the different things I felt. I would feel overwhelmed by my feelings all the time. My parents were both alcoholics who would always get into fights, so I wouldn't feel comfortable opening up to them. I would also avoid opening up to my friends, either because they had their own problems, or because I felt like they wouldn't care, or would judge me. If I felt depressed, rather than seeing a therapist, I would lie down in bed, put the duvet over my face, and lie there in darkness. If I felt upset, I would buy a bottle of wine and drink the whole thing by myself. If I felt bad about myself, I would order a pizza and eat it all by myself in one meal. Eventually, I would put on weight, which would make me feel even worse about myself. I would then eat even more pizza and other junk food to feel better, which would continue the cycle. If I felt stressed about schoolwork or anxious about my social life, I would smoke a whole pack of cigarettes to calm myself down. I would then lose my appetite and not eat anything for the entire day, which would make me feel sick and even more anxious. If I felt sad, I would go to the park and lie down on a bench and get lost in my negative thoughts. If things got really bad, I would sometimes resort to self-harm and wonder if life was even worth living. I would sometimes think about suicide, but would never find the courage to actually end it all. Eventually, a teacher noticed what was going on and encouraged me to see a therapist. I would see her every Friday evening. With my therapist, I would talk about literally anything that was on my mind. I would tell her all the issues I had at school, such as falling behind in lessons, feeling anxious about who my friends were, and having very low self-esteem. Talking about all of my problems made me feel so much better about them, because I saw them from a different perspective, and they felt like less of a burden. My therapist also prescribed me medicine for my anxiety, which completely changed my life. I would take a pill every morning before school, and every evening after I got home, and it made my anxiety vanish. I could suddenly get homework done on time, and I no longer worried about what people thought of me and whether my friends liked me. After a few years of seeing a therapist, I eventually got to a stable point where I could deal with my difficult feelings by myself.